Hello, people. You're welcome to ProUp Masterclass. My name is Tola T.A. Alabi. And in today's class, I'm going to be talking about three things that are endangering the world. Three things that are endangering the world today. Now, I don't want you to think this is one of those classes where I'm going to talk about deforestation, global warming, pollution, and things like that. Because a lot of times when we talk about the world being endangered, we have this mentality of the earth being endangered. And I think that's a discussion that has been overflogged. And I think a lot of people are putting in a lot to save the earth and not close to enough to save the world. And I'll tell you what the difference is. The earth is basically this globe that we're all living on. This globe, you understand, with all its features, the plant life, the animal life, the forest, the atmosphere, and things like that. That's the earth. That's the earth. That's the planet, the earth. Now, the earth is the only planet that the name changes because of its inhabitants. No other planet has this characteristic of having two names because of the people. Now, the people that live on the earth, when the earth is filled with people, it becomes the world. So when I talk about the world, I'm talking about the people inhabiting earth. When you take out the people, you have only the earth. When you have us living on earth, interacting, multiplying, it's called the world. And again, I want to say that there's so much effort in saving the earth. And that discussion it has become a high level discussion. But there is very little that discussion we are having about how to save the world, how to help the people. So the discussion about deforestation and pollution and global warming and ice melting in the South Pole, it's not. That's not what this class is about. Because if you wanted to hear more about that, all you need to do is go to the internet. And there are so many papers and so many meetings and so many lectures and so many intellectual people talking about how to save the earth. But I want to say there's no use saving the earth if in the future there are going to be very few functional people living there. Those people will only destroy the earth. So I want to touch on three things destroying the world. Again, what I mean by the world are the people living on earth. Three things destroying people today. And I'm going to start from what I consider to be. I'm going to do this in ascending order. So the last thing I will touch on is what I consider to be the gravest thing destroying the world today. But they're all very important, and I think it's something we all need to pay attention to. The first thing I'm going to talk about that is destroying the world today, destroying people, destroying people's values, destroying people's minds, is what I term the parenting child and the infantile parent. The parenting child and the infantile parent. Now, if you listen to ProUp Masterclass a lot, over the years, it has changed. I started talking about business a lot, and then started talking a lot about spirituality, and then started talking a lot about family. And of recent, you see, I talk a lot about children. And because I really believe that the seed of humanity, the seed of the fruit we are eating today, is rooted in people's childhood and the kind of childhood they had. So a lot of the points I will make today are going to be rooted in family, parenting, and childhood. So the parenting child and the infantile parent is a plague that we all are having to deal with today. It's a terrible plague. I see it every time I go on social media. I see children acting as parents and parents acting as children. It's a reversal of roles. I think one of the first times I saw it was, I think, in 2020, where there was this popular TikTok video, of a lady and her parent, elderly parent in Nigeria, and she was dancing on the table to this very popular. It was popular then. It was a Yoruba song. You understand? I can't even say the words right now, but part of it had to do with balabala, bolo bolo. But then those who know it know it. But then she was dancing on the table in front of her parents, and when I say dancing, it was pretty much twerking. So this was a scene of a child, a young lady, obviously still staying with her parents in the living room, and on the center table, there she was twerking in the face of her father and her mother. And when I saw it, it was for me, it was very disturbing. Not that she was twerking, but the fact that she was twerking, she had the audacity to twerk in front of her elderly parents. And you know, they didn't seem particularly disturbed by it. And as time has gone on, I've seen a lot of videos like this where there are viral videos of children asking their parents to do particular things. So they are using their parents as objects of trend. And so you can see that these children are totally in control. There was one I saw the other day where the child was doing this ABCD 1 2 3 trend with her mother, and the mother wasn't catching on. And at a point, she got frustrated and just totally lashed out at the mother. And I was thinking, who is mother here and who is the child here? And so I started to notice that trend of the parenting child and the infantile parent, where the child is now in control of the home. The child is in control of the home. And this happens a lot in homes where the child has become the breadwinner. And if you've listened to my podcast, there is a podcast I talked about um, guarding your children from poverty. And one of the things I said is it's a grave mistake to introduce children to the value of money before introducing them to the value and worth of self. And that's one of the underlying reasons why we have parenting kids and infantile parents. In homes where the child has been introduced to this concept of earning and making money and the control money gives you, it is a big, big disadvantage, especially when the child has not been taught human values, societal values, has not been taught empathy, where the child's EQ has not been developed, and you now develop that child's bank account, that child's ability to earn money. It's a ticking time bomb. And so I realized that today's society has made it very easy for even a 4-year-old to start earning money. That is one of the problems I have with the Western supply of social media and its reward for content. When you look at social media today, two of the most rewarding platforms are YouTube and TikTok, and I think Facebook too comes. I don't know what hierarchy it's on, but TikTok pays very generously. YouTube pays, and Facebook pays too. But then when you look at these platforms, especially with TikTok, it is highly occupied by children. It is majorly occupied by young people, young children. You understand? So when I say young children, I'm talking from anything from 10 to 17. You understand? I still consider them children, and yes, they might be age restriction, but then it is not an iron wall. You understand? It's not an iron. It's like a paper wall. So a lot of kids are on TikTok, and because they are on TikTok, they are able to earn money from the platform. And I'm not talking about earning nickels and dimes here. I'm talking about earning foreign currency, especially for people based in Nigeria, where the dollar rate to the naira rate is like there's an incredible gap. And when anybody is earning in dollar, even what seems like a low amount in dollars becomes a fortune in naira. And so the dynamics of breadwinning in the home has changed. It has been transferred from the parents who are clueless when it comes to using social media to earn money to the child who is so social media savvy and is able to afford what the father and mother could never afford with their income joined together in 1 week, what the parents cannot afford in 1 month. And so, in a family where the parent gives authority to the kid who earns the most, they are going to suffer from this first plague called the parenting child and the infantile parent. What happens is you begin to see elderly people, grown ups, begin to do ridiculous things online, and they become very approving of vices that their children engage in, viceful, dangerous activity that their children engage in online. It's ridiculous. I just heard somewhere that OnlyFans, as at 2023, made what is $6 billion, or was it 60 billion? It makes no difference at that point when you've broken the million ceiling. You understand? That's what OnlyFans made. OnlyFans is full of young girls. So when these girls are making from their pages what their parents could never make, in a home where money has become the deciding factor of who sits on the throne, the parents are relegated to servants. They are relegated to loyal subjects in the home. And then when the child tells them jump, they ask how far, how high. And the child tells them to run, they ask how far. So in such homes, there is no parenting. And in the end, the child becomes a dysfunctional human being. Dysfunctional human being altogether. So the first thing destroying people today is this scourge of the parenting child that is able to easily access money, easily control money, who by this chance, you understand, that is provided by social media, is now easily able to control their parents. And that's a dangerous home for anyone to live in or to grow up in. That's one of the things why we have a lot of dysfunctional people out there, dysfunctional young people out there. If their parents cannot talk to you, if their parents cannot talk to them, how much more you? So you see, you go out there and you see young people that are willing to look at 40-year-olds in the eye and, and chastise them. You understand? No one, they have this mentality of no one can talk to me. Not even my dad at home, who is 60 years old, can talk to me. So how much more you? Children who do not take instruction or advice anymore. You understand? So you have the 17-year-old, the 15, the 16-year-old right now making a lot of money. He's now the parent in the house. And when he's the parent in the house, it goes out and there is no way the concept of an elder makes sense to that person anymore. Because in his or her own house, they are the elders. You understand? In his or her own family structure, they're the elders. So you see most of them, 16, 17, they've moved out of the house. 16-year-old girl moved out of the house. She has her own apartment, sending money to her parents every month. You understand? She puts her parents on a payroll. The parents can't see anything about their displeasure in their 16-year-old daughter living alone. As a matter of fact, this goes on for so long that the parents begin to have no displeasure. Remember, they've become infants now. So they stop engaging their brain, and they act like they know no better. You understand? So they see no problem in this 16-year-old living away from home, endangered. So the parenting child, the infantile parent. The second thing, destroying the world today, is single parenting. Single parenting. Single parenting is one of those cancers that has gone unchecked for way too long. It is a cancer that is treated like a flu. And I'll say that again. Single parenting is a cancer that humanity is experiencing, but we are treating like we are treating a common cold, a flu. It's like having lung cancer and taking cough syrup. Single parenting is something destroying the world today. And when I say single parenting, a person can be a single parent by two basic means, by bereavement or by separation, which might be separation or divorce. A person can be a single parent. And when I talk about separation too, I also mean when a girl gets pregnant and a guy doesn't accept the pregnancy. So that's separation, you understand? That's single parenting, that is not by bereavement. Now, by bereavement, the thing with single parenting by bereavement is that it's a hard thing, you understand? But then God being so kind, it doesn't destroy children as much as separation. One thing I even realize is that single parenting by bereavement builds character more in children, because especially when the parent had a loving relationship. A lot of times when you have single parents by bereavement, it draws the child closer to God, because then you are now asking God, why did this person have to go? And one of the quickest way to get close to God is by asking questions. Do you understand? Allowing yourself ask questions. You might not get all the answers, but then what it does is that it opens you up to the reality of the concept of God. So when people lose their parents to death, a lot of times, because the answer is not on the physical plane, it draws them towards the spiritual faster, at least in a lot of cases. But then it's a very hard thing for a child to accept. But at the end of that questioning road, there's normally a dependence on God. There's a dependence and a surrender to God. Now, it's a totally different thing when the parents are separated. They are single by virtue of choice. I don't want to stay with your father anymore. I don't want to stay with your mother anymore. We are going our separate ways. Now, what this does to the individual is it makes the individual highly insecure about who they are. A lot of them end up believing that they are products of conflict rather than product of self. They believe they are an inconvenience rather than something that is welcomed and planned for. That's a terrible thing for a human being to feel like you do not really matter. You are a product of a war. You understand? You're a prisoner of war. It's a terrible thing. A lot of times, children that come from um, a home where they had a single parent, um, end up harboring some anger, some resentment, some depression. You understand? It's unresolved emotions, and I believe that single parenting is actually a child growing up with a single parent is a um, it's it's like a child losing a part of him or herself. You understand? Um, it's a disability. I think that's the best way I can put it. Single parenting, or a home where a child is raised by a single parent, is a disability. It is one of the few, it's one of disabilities that is not catered to. You understand? So when a child loses their sight, we cater to them by teaching them braille. You understand? Braille. When a child loses their hearing or the ability to talk, we teach sign language that has been developed. When a child cannot walk, we have crutches and wheelchairs and ramps that they can use. You see, so all of that disabilities are catered for. When a child has autism, we have schools that are for special needs children. But when a child is from a single home, we just kick them out and say, go into the world and live your life. Get over it, suck it up. It's a disability. It's like not teaching a blind person braille or giving them a walking stick that they can use to navigate their way in the world, and just telling that blind person, go and just cope with it. There's nothing special about you. The world has seen blind people before. You won't be the last one. So go and just integrate with society. That blind person can never integrate with society properly. The person would have a lot of failures that would destroy them emotionally before they even begin to find a grasp or get a grasp of the simple things in life. The same thing when a child comes from a home where there's separation. Because a parent, whether father or mother, is an emotional part of the child. Emotional part of the child. Just like an arm or an eye or leg is an integral physical part of your body. So a lot of times we don't cater to these emotional needs that these children from single homes deal with. So just kick them out. Go to school and integrate with other children from the old home where there's a mom and dad, and just say, oh, why do you feel you're special? You have to do well in class. Why are you not doing well in class? So, but we understand why a blind person might have a problem in a class that doesn't cater to him. But then we don't understand why somebody that doesn't have the emotional part of a parent with them would not do well in class. And ask the person, why are you always fighting? Why are you so troublesome? You understand? Because they're dealing with a disability that is not being catered to. It's not being catered to. Single parenting is destroying people every single day. And it's becoming more and more rampant, where marriages are being dissolved. Marriages with offspring, with children, are being dissolved. Now, I'm not going because there could be a variety of reasons why marriages are being dissolved. However, that's not what I'm focusing on today. It's the effect on the children. There can be so many reasons why marriages are dissolved, but there's one result on the children, and it's never a good one. It's making dysfunctional people, angry people, hateful people, resentful people. Check out a lot of the crimes that are out there today. Gruesome crimes. Check it out. A huge percentage of them were committed by people that grew up in a home under a single parent, whether mother or father. Never catered to. So These people grow up with some kind of apathy for their fellow human being. And that makes me talk about, I'm going to start with talking about the need for a mother. I feel when a child doesn't have a mother very early on with the separation, and the child has to be with the father, and he loses the mother, it is I'm a man, but I'm going to say this, it is more devastating for a child to grow up without his mother. Early years without the mother is devastating, absolutely devastating. Fathers are important, but those early years, 0 to 6 or 0 to 10, let's put it that way, 0 to 10, without a mother, devastating. Without the love of a mother, devastating. That child cannot be loving. Even if it's not attended to, that child cannot be loving towards themselves and genuinely loving towards others. The mother is the first encounter with warmth, with love, with giving. The first encounter with being accepted, the first encounter with protection, the first encounter with vulnerability. When the mother is gone, the child cannot be functional. So people that grow up in single parent dads, no mother, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible, damaging thing for a child. Terrible, damaging thing for a child. Every child needs a mother. Every child needs a mother. It's unfortunate that the world is the way it is today, where women have become a lot like men, and I'm going to come to that in more detail. So even in a home where there's no separation, children have lose their mothers very early. In a place like Nigeria, a woman that puts to bed is expected to get back to work after 3 months. 3 months. A child only enjoys the warmth, the love, the protection of the mother for 3 months, after which she has to get back to work. And that's why a lot of people end up putting their children in crèches. Some other developed societies, 6 months. I don't even think that's enough. Some places 1 year. I don't think that's enough. I feel it's important for women to be with children. Important. I don't even think it's optional. It should be important for women to be with children for the first 3 years or 5 years of their life. The difference is astronomical if women are willing to do it. But then I'm sure there are a lot of people listening to that. It's easy for you to say that. What happens to my dreams? You see, ambition has become man's biggest albatross. Man, as human beings, when I say man, I mean human being. Biggest albatross. We've been taught ambition. And ambition is killing the human race. Not making it. It's killing us. Destroying the family. And then thereby destroying the world. I believe a child needs a mother. First 5 years. Very important. A child needs a father too. But it's not half as devastating as a child without the mother. Men are also very important in a child's life. Because men give a sense of structure, a sense of protection. That's the reality. Men give a sense of protection. Even if he's a deadbeat man, you understand? No job, he's just at home. As a guy, I'll tell you this. I know most males, most guys, most boys, most men will think twice about going to a house with a father figure there than they will about going to a house without a father figure. Most guys would arrange themselves, no matter who the father is, no matter how deadbeat he is, that he's there makes you think twice. Think twice. It's just a psychological thing. Look, I have 2 dogs. One is a male, one is a female. My female dog is incredibly sensitive. Incredibly. A butterfly cannot fly past my house without the female dog knowing that something flew past. She hardly sleeps at night. You understand? Because she's always on guard mode. Always on guard mode. So when she barks, I know that there's something out there. Maybe something coming. The thing might not have come close, but coming towards the house or around the house. Incredibly guarding. But then I have a male dog. My male dog, I can count how many times it has barked since I got it. And the male dog is about 9 years old. Going to be 9 or so. 8 or 9, I can't remember. I can count on each hand how many times it has barked. We always call it a lazy dog. You understand? It's big, but then it's sleeping most of the times, lying down. It appears to be sleeping. But then I realized that when people come to the house and they just see it sleeping, by the sheer size of it, it intimidates them. You understand? Just that it's sleeping there intimidates them. They say, oh, is it safe to come in here? Can we come in here? You understand? For us, we feel it's lazy. It doesn't bark. It wouldn't bark unless the danger has come into its territory. And with that, it will bark just once. Just once. But that one bark even scares me, the owner, because the bark is deep and highly intimidating. Look, it's not as active as the female, but then it does its thing. When the female is scared, she runs to it. That's the essence of the male figure in the house. There is some kind of visual stability that the male figure gives. And when it's now a responsible male, there's security beyond stability, security, genuine security that a man gives. A female child that grows up in a place where there is a loving father walks with her shoulders high. She doesn't take rubbish from other men or other guys around her, whether in school or at work. The concept of a father makes her feel secure. When you take this away from especially a female child, you kill her confidence. Look, the thing about single parenting is it will probably happen and probably still be on the rise. But the thing is, I'm not here to tell you do not get separated. If you do not have, if you feel like there is no mutual compatibility, you are incompatible with the person for some reason. I can't go into the reasons because there are way too many reasons. The problem is single parenting is how people approach it after separation. The problem is the weaponizing of the children. If you cannot keep from being separated, please keep from weaponizing the kids. And this is all too common. I see a lot of adults, a lot of parents selfishly weaponize their own kids. So the mentality, you will never see your dad. I will make it very difficult for you to see him. And when it comes to the dad, if the dad is someone that has a lot of income, has a lot of influence in society, you can take the child from the mother and say they will never see their mother, just to twist in that knife. Twist that knife. Make it a lot more painful. Inflate your importance by denying the other parent of the child. But I will have you know that you're not only denying the other parent, you're also denying the child of a parent. So if you cannot stay together, give access to the child, to each other. I realize that men and women handle single parenting in toxic ways. And they have their own two different toxic ways of handling single parenting. So you see a lot of women, when they have custody of the child, what they do is try to have sole custody. And so how they try to make up for a lack of a father is they try to be the father and the mother. And I'll have you know that it is almost impossible. If not, it's impossible for a woman to be a father and mother. It's impossible. A woman cannot do what a man does. My male dog cannot do what my female dog can do. And my female dog cannot do what my male dog can do, even if she tried. So I see a lot of women saying, I will be the father and mother. So on Father's Day and Mother's Day, they want to take all the cards. You understand? No, you can take the cards. Doesn't mean you are a father. I see a lot of women cut out men and say, I will do it. I will step in their shoes. You can't. You can't. You cannot. You cannot do what the husband, by his mere physiology of being a man, can do. My female dog, she barks, but she cannot, for the life of her, muster that one bark that makes everybody chill. She cannot. She's hardworking, but she cannot, on her best day, muster that level of intimidation. It's very, very hard. Very hard. So a lot of women try to play both roles. It's very hard. It's very hard to make up. You cannot make up for it. A lot of men, their approach when it comes to separating from the mother of their kids is they try to fill the role. They underestimate the part that the biological mother feels. So they just go out and look for the next thing with mammalian glands and that can just feel any woman can fill a woman's place. It's not just to cook and clean. That's what the child needs. That's what they need their mother for. That is such an understatement. You understand? That's an assumption that any woman, as long as she can cook and clean, can mother your children. That's such a fallacy that men believe. So they go to work confidently thinking I've put a woman at home. She can cook and clean. And so she can manage the house and manage the children. And then it takes a while of abuse, constant abuse, before the man finally realizes he has made a mistake. Then he chucks that one out again. Maybe he has some kids with that one, chucks that one out, brings another one. So it's always try and error. And very few ever get it right. It's hard to get it right. As long as that umbilical cord did not come from that woman, it's very, very hard. Very hard. Guys do not know the bonding that takes place in the 9 months between a woman and a child. We don't know it. We don't know the bonding that takes place when a child takes breast milk from the mother. We don't know it because we've never done it. And a lot of times when we should be observing it, we are away at work. That's why we think any woman can take the place of your wife or your ex-wife that gave birth to the children. Then you go and take people that victimize your children and destroy them for life. Separation, divorce is like war. In the end, nobody wins. There are casualties on both sides. The prisoners of war suffer the most. But I think I've dwelt too long on this point. So the second point is single parenting, destroying the world today. The third thing destroying the world today. Now this might be a little bit controversial, a little bit complex, but please take some time to listen to me. Is what I call the over ambitious female and the under ambitious male. The rise of the over ambitious female and the increase of the under ambitious male. I discuss this with my wife a lot, and I tell her how much the world has changed, and it horrifies me. When I look at the world today, I look at girls are no longer what girls used to be when I was growing up in the 80s. And young men are no longer what young men used to be when I was growing up. It's like there's a reversal of roles. And this is what I call the rise and the birth of the over-ambitious female and the under-ambitious male. And these two are very interwound in terms of what caused this. It's hard to talk about one without talking about the other. So I'm just going to choose to start to talk about the female. But by choosing to talk about the female, it doesn't mean this plague started with the female. Now, I've come to realize that for me, as a person, I'm beginning to develop a morbid fear for the female folk. The female folk has become so wild and aggressive in today's world. Oh, I especially when it comes to the digital world, I will not step on a female. I would rather step on a venomous snake or a rabid dog than pick a fight with a female in today's world. They will absolutely tear you apart. Absolutely. They formed a kind of army, and they've become so venomous that you don't want to be on their wrong side. A gang of females can destroy a man's career today easier than an error in doing his job. An error in doing his job, a misjudgment, just crossing the wrong female. And you know, for me, it's pretty sad. Some people might see it as empowering, but I see it as pretty sad. Because now, in the world, there's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run. And what I mean is, there used to be something called the female essence that made the world so sane. When you looked at a woman, she was an embodiment of hope. She was a fortress. She was shelter from the storm. You understand? When the world was turbulent, you could always go to the peace of a woman. When men were at war, they could always look at a photo of their wife and feel peace in that small Polaroid photo. Women used to evoke peace that men never understood. To be honest, men envied it, but women didn't know. Women had this quiet strength. The woman herself, for a long time, was the home. You understand? You could walk into a shack. Your home could be like a shack. But then there's this woman that makes it feel like a mansion. Your home could be the coldest place in terms of temperature. But then when you go and you see your wife, or you see a woman, there's a warmth she brings. That is largely gone today. Women have become so hard. You see, even when I was growing up, women, you see, when a man wanted to talk to a woman, he had to make sure that his English and his diction was right. Because you were always sure that the woman will speak right. When a man approaches a woman, he will hold up all the vulgarity he says with his guys, because a woman will not accept it. But now, the way the world is today, the woman is the first to use vulgarity before you. A woman approaches you, she's speaking bad English. You understand? It was never so. The woman was like the epitome of knowledge. Or was it epitome or epitome? I'm not sure. But she was the height of knowledge. You see, that's one of the things. Women will be sure. At least women back then. If my wife were to listen to this now, she tell me, no, Tola is not epitome, it's epitome. You understand? I could be sure. You see, every time I write something, I take it to my wife. And I tell her, read this, look at it. Did I say this thing right? Not by, look, she's younger than me. We are both educated, but she has that essence of a woman that dots the I's and crosses the T's. That is lost today. And I feel for the young men of today. I'm like, who are they going to marry? Who is going to raise your children? Because what I see a lot is a lot of anger, inherited anger. And I really think it has come from not the women themselves, but from their mothers. I know I've said these things are interwound. We have a lot of women that have mothers that were seriously oppressed by their husbands. The husbands weaponized their resources, their money. You understand? They used it to control women rather than using it to care for them. They used their influence, their societal influence, and their material wealth to hold down women rather than lift them up. So you have a lot of women, when they give birth to children, they tell their daughters, when you have your money, keep your money. Save your money. Get your own job. Rise up the ladder too. Toggle with these men because they will hold you under. So it's hard to blame the women for losing some of their female essence. Because a lot of them, when they gave their female essence, it was abused by the men. That's the truth. So they said, even though I made this mistake, my daughter will never make this mistake. And the women that never told their children, the children saw it and said, I will never become like mommy. So silent and meek. Hence, the generation that we have today. Because the thing is, when you try to go against your nature, a lot of times we overcompensate. We overcompensate. So when the woman has gone against her nurturing, kind, warm nature to become hard, because it's not natural, she's going to overcompensate. And that's what I mean by the over-ambitiousness of women. What they did is they traded everything, and bought everything that made them masculine. So today's world, you search and search for the feminine essence, but in a lot of women, it's totally lost. They've become men, just with female organs. And some of them are beginning to take away those organs. If it's going to slow them down anymore, take out the womb. If it's going to slow you down anymore, take out the breast. Take it out. I want to truly compete with these men. So there's no soft landing in the world anymore. Emotional soft landing. Emotional, nowhere to go. So I wonder what the kids of these people will be like. Who do they go to when they feel vulnerable? Who do they go to when they want to cry? Who do they go to when they need a hug? Who do they go to when they need a soft landing? Because everybody is hard like a man. But I'll have you know, the hardness of a man is not totally something to be envied. It makes us break easily. It makes us die early. Everything you envy about men, men are not just telling you. It doesn't make them particularly happy. The female essence is being lost. So you see the female right now, go-getter extraordinaire, running business and not looking to the side at all. Cutthroat business woman. Cutthroat. You see, I've had the opportunity of working with some ladies, online vendors. Oh, when I'm working with them like this, you realize that they have no time for chatter. Tell me what you want, pay me my money, and get out. There was one I worked with the other time, and she delivered something, and I paid the delivery fee, and I paid the delivery fee, but then no patience. As in, once she didn't get it in 30 minutes, she sent me a nasty email. Why are you delaying? Why? But I said I paid this thing immediately, and she went all out on me, and I'm like, wow, this girl should not go and take me to social media and drag me and tear me apart there, just for me to call her back the next day and say, did you get this thing? Because I paid for it. And I said, yes, thanks. Man, I said, wow. I couldn't believe how much fear I felt for a woman. And I'm not saying that in a chauvinistic way. I'm just saying the same woman that we run through when we feel fear is the same one we are running from when we feel fear. But I'm wondering, where are we running to now? Because when I was very small, when I felt fear, first person I ran to was my mom. When I felt fear, first person I ran to was my older sister. You see, I'm so passionate about femininity because for people that don't know, I grew up the only male child in my family. I have one elder sister and one younger sister. So I know what females are like. I had an incredible childhood with them. Incredible. So when I talk about the feminine essence, I have felt it. It was like I had 3 mothers. You understand? But that is largely gone today. I know the difference between me and my friends that grew up all boys. I remember going to one of my friends' house early in the morning, and these guys were fighting before school, and they were stoning each other with eba. Why they were eating eba early in the morning, folks, I don't understand. But I just remember they were throwing plates and eba at each other, and the whole wall was stained with eba, their hair, and I'm like, 5 boys, heavy chaos. And I compared it to my home. When I didn't wake up early, my sister was like, you should do this. Oh, change your socks. Oh, do this. You see, it made me into the man I am today. So it's so sad to see the feminine essence lost. A lot of females are largely irritated by men because they are moving too slowly for them today. By young men. Young men, they're not ambitious enough. Do you understand? They're not ambitious enough. So you see a lot of young ladies gravitate more towards more established men. A lot of them married. But that becomes their spec because those ones are moving fast enough. They are dealing with the kind of money they want to be hearing. You hear a 21-year-old girl, she's already in business, comfortably talking about earning hundreds of millions. Already talking about millions in transactions. Already talking about needs that only millions can solve. How will she be satisfied with a man that is still earning tens or hundreds of thousands? A young man that is still earning that. She has moved fast because her mother asked her to move fast and overtake that man. You be the breadwinner. And that brings me to the under-ambitious male we have today. And I think of all things, this is what saddens me the most. young men with no sense of direction. No sense of direction. No dreams. Young men that are so satisfied with average, so satisfied with just them, enough for them. No sense of direction. It's sad. You see, in Nigeria today, there's this jackpot thing that has been going on for some years, 3-4 years now. So people have been moving out of Nigeria, relocating to other countries. But then, the interesting thing is, when I talk to married people, most married people that relocate out of Nigeria to go and live in other countries, see, when I talk to them, a lot of the men, the answers they give me, their reasons for relocating, is mostly, Madame says she's not comfortable. My wife says she's not. Madam. What do you say, young man? What are you saying? Madam says we should leave. Madam is complaining too much about this. Madam says we have to leave for this. Madam says Nigeria is not good enough for us. I'm like, what's happening? What do you say? Like, and a lot of them, they say, what can I say? When Madam says it, that. And I'm like, these guys have no direction, no sense of purpose, no voice of God. They are not leading. They are not leading. No sense of leadership. No clear vision. It's sad. It's sad. It's incredible now that young ladies are the ones asking men out. So they make their money and they're like, okay, I need a guy. Okay, just ask this boy, will you go out with me? Yeah, okay. Now come and live in my house. And I'll give you stipends. You understand? So the men are comfortable with it. Because men are just looking for, a lot of young men are just looking for free earnings, free food. Underachieving. It's sad. It's sad. Guys don't even know how to talk to women anymore. How to approach a woman that you are interested in romantically. They don't know how to anymore. They don't know. So you see them trying to talk to a woman and they're sending memes and all those things. Gone are the guys who used to write poetry, who could go up to a woman and compliment her and make her feel like she's the only one in the world. Guys don't know how to do that anymore. A lot of guys are so distracted. And that's because, I really can't blame the guys too. A lot of guys grew up in homes where there was no intentional parenting for the child, for the male child. No intentional parenting. We intentionally train our female children. Intentionally. You can't wear that skirt. You can't wear that blouse. Don't you know how you look to guys? You want to attract the wrong type of guys? Go back and change your clothes. Go back and do your hair. But guys, you just let them grow like wild weeds. They will figure it out. So you never tell a guy, go and change your shirt. You know the kind of female it will attract. Go and change those trousers. Change those shoes. Polish those shoes. Comb that hair. Just let them go. You understand? It's what we do as parents. When we have female children, we are more protective. That's when we create rules. When we have male children, just let them live. So they become wild weeds with thorns. And that's what's largely missing in the men today. No sense of comportment. Very, very low standards. No vision. No leadership qualities. No communication skills. There was once a post that I saw that said, where the guy was asking, share some of the worst things women have done to you. And Apart from what amazed me was some of the things that a lot of young men said they've been through at the hands of young ladies. But then that's not really what caught my attention. What caught my attention was their poor writing ability, spelling, grammar, structure. I had to try hard to understand what a lot of them were trying to convey as a message. Do you understand? It was very poor. Very poor communication skills. Written communication poor, oral communication poor. I talk to a lot of young men. They send me messages, and I say this, I enjoy getting messages from female because they explain themselves well. With men, it's like untangling a very tight knot. They cannot explain themselves, so I have to give them the words. Are you trying to say this? How does a woman feel comfortable with that kind of man? But the man was never mentored. He was left to find his way, underachieving. And because the woman has become so over-ambitious, the man says, how can I make this level of money that girls are requiring this day? 1 million naira. I've never even seen 100,000 before. But your mate, the age mate as a female, has seen 10 million. What she needs to solve her business problem is 20 million. What you earn every month is 200,000. So a lot of men have become very anxious. And so what they look for is get rich quick schemes. And that's why men go into betting, online betting. They put in this, their 200,000 because what they need is 20 million to impress this girl. That's why you see men sleeping at betting houses. It's ridiculous because they're trying to catch up with the overambitious female. And it's so hard. That's why a lot of them are doing fraud. That's why a lot of them are committing rituals because they want that money to grow fast. Because the woman is moving too fast and they are moving too slow. So, overcompensation. Just like the woman overcompensates, the man overcompensates. So if he's not making quick money, they're not interested. So the typical guy right now is either not interested in working if it's not a job that gets him money quickly. Apprenticeship is dead. I don't need a master. I need his master money. You understand? So apprenticeship is dead. They're not building any skill. They're just looking for the next industry that can pay them 8-9 digits. Now, why is this a problem? This is a problem because when the female becomes very unsatisfied with her male folk that is eligible, not a married man, what happens? She can't find a man that is moving fast enough. But she looks around, what she sees is a woman like her that moves fast enough. An attraction will begin to grow between her and that woman. And that's why I really believe homosexuality is going to grow astronomically going forward. Because women are not seeing what they want in men. What they are seeing is what they want in a fellow woman who is moving just as fast as her. The same thing goes for a guy. There's too much pressure with the present day girl. He feels more relaxed with his guy. Before you know it, he starts to have affection for his guy. Homosexuality is going to rise. And religion, or how much you know of the Bible, might not be able to hold it back. In a country like Nigeria where you feel, okay, there are few and far between, it's going to grow. And it's going to grow because of this gap between the over-ambitious female and the under-achieving guy. There will be no attraction. Women are going to feel more secure with other women, and guys are going to feel more peace with other guys. When they are with other guys, they are going to feel less tendency to want to do crime or fraud to make more money. And that's going to affect their emotions and their attraction. And you know what will happen when men and women stop getting into romantic relationship with each other? The population will die. And that's why this is the strongest thing that is destroying the world today. This is going to endanger humanity. The world population will fall drastically. It's already happened in the Western world. It's coming here. Fall drastically. And when this happens, very soon we are going to be left with more earth than world. And I hope this podcast is able to do at least light a spark. If not a fire, but light a spark in someone today to save the world. One light at a time. One light at a time. Let it light that spark in you to save the world. Because the world is you and I. The earth without the world is a cold place. It's an ordinary place. Just an empty mass. I also want to get value from this podcast today. It's been a particularly long one, but then it's something very close to my heart. And I hope it blesses someone out there.